Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Chthonian Yugioh deck profile for March 2024. I have been working on this deck forever. It is probably one of the most forgotten archetypes of the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, used by Chaz in the first season. These were actually the first cards that Chaz had before his XYZ cards, before his Ojama cards, before his Armed Dragon cards. Chaz ran a Chthonian deck, which really focused on utilizing his opponent's fusion monsters, which were all anyone played in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and then the couple Chthonian monsters, because we only have 3 of them as well. But like I said, I worked really hard to make a Chthonian deck work, which, it's not the best. I'm just going to say that right now, but I would say it's the best we have to work with until we maybe one day get Chthonian support. That has nothing to do with the deck at all. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual Chthonian monsters, our only 3 of in the deck is Chthonian Soldier. I would say it's probably the best of the monsters to begin with. When it's destroyed by your opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, inflict battle damage you took from the battle to your opponent's life points as well. So this makes you want to have Chthonian Soldier in attack mode, just because then your opponent will take any of the damage that you take as well from this card. And then that's basically all you have to go off of with this card to begin with, is the initial burn damage you'll take from this card to begin with. And then I think what you just have to utilize is how, Chaz made use of this card in the anime as well. And that is just summoning out a bunch of different Chthonian soldiers as you can, to then make use with some of the other cards we have in the deck. For more warrior support, because another big thing that hit this deck was the fact that Isolde is banned. So we really don't have any other warrior engine to summon out more resources onto the field. So we just have to go with more monster setup to begin with. So I run 2 Blue Mountain Butter Spy. When you normal summon a warrior monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. It cannot be used as synchro material, so even if you just summon out your Chthonian Soldier, you can special summon out your Blue Mountain Butter Spy, and right there you have at least either a Link 2 play or a Rank 4 Xyz play to go into using these monsters. I thought of running a 3rd copy of this card. I'll show you my justification of why I'm only running 2, and that's because I'm also running 1 copy of Armageddon Knight and the 1 copy of Dark Grepher. These are all Dark Warrior monsters, so combined with Chthonian Soldier, which is also a Dark Warrior monster, you can make use of cards like Ties of the Brethren as just another way to extend into your Chthonian Soldier onto the field. So then you have more of a setup with those cards on the field as well with that play for your monsters to at least grab Chthonian Soldier faster from your deck onto the field. Also, it does restrict you from more extra deck plays, but like I said, we're thinning out the deck to get to those other important cards. The other Chthonian monsters that we run is the 1 copy of Chthonian Emperor Dragon and also the 1 copy of Infernal Incinerator. I don't even know if you want to count Infernal Incinerator as a Chthonian card. It cannot be normal summoner set except by discarding all cards from your hand, and then as well as tributing 1 monster with an attack of 2,000 or higher from your side of the field. Increase the attack of this monster by 200 for each monster your opponent's side of the field, and decrease it by 500 for each one. So this card has to be the standalone card on your side of the field. The other Chthonian monster is Chthonian Emperor Dragon, which treated as a normal monster while face up on the field, but then you can normal summon it in addition to then have the card effect to attack twice during the same battle phase. Like I said, it has nothing to do with the actual Chthonian Soldier. It's just an additional, I would say, extended boss monster to summon out on the field. So I'm only running the 1 of each. I think there's a much better boss monster to utilize in the deck with your Chthonian monsters, which I'll show in just a moment. But that monster being Battle Guard King. And this is just because once per turn, you can tribute any number of warrior type monsters except this card. For each one tributed, it gains an additional attack during each battle phase. So if you have your Chthonian soldiers, and then let's say just an additional warrior monster, if you go for the 2 tribute of Battle Guard King, you can at least then tribute your other 2 Chthonian soldiers on the field to then gain additional attacks to a much better boss monster in the deck than any of the other 2 level 6 monsters that I just referenced. And then the last main deck monster, I'm trying to run a small hand trap engine. This is just my choice for it, that being Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. If you didn't want to run it, you can always increase your warrior count. Greffer Knight Soldier is another one to run. You can increase your number of Blue Mountain Butter Spy. You can even try running more Infernal Incinerators just as another boss monster, because we do have a way to power up Chthonian Soldier in the deck to then be able to tribute 4 Infernal Incinerator, and that comes in the form of our spell card, which I'm running 2 copies of Chthonian Alliance. Increase the attack of the equipped monster by 800 for each other face-up monster in the field with the same name as the equipped monster. Now, if only we had, like a fusion monster, which that's probably asking too much for Chthonian Soldier, to be able to at least, have an Elemental Hero Prisma play to count as another monster on the field with the same name of it, and then have a way to grab one back from the graveyard on the field. But at least if we have the multiples of Chthonian Soldier, if we equip Chthonian Alliance onto it, it makes that attack points 2,000 as well for us then to use for our Infernal Incinerators tribute on the field. But you'll still have the one additional one on the field. As I said, this deck almost contradicts itself with every single play, and I tried so hard just to make it work, and I'm struggling to do so even with this deck profile. But I also run the one additional equip spell, being the Magnum Shield, which also it gains attack equal to its original defense. This might even just be better than Chthonian Alliance. So if you wanted to increase the number to 3 Magnum Shield, by all means, you'll be making yourself a stronger Chthonian Soldier warrior on the field. So dropping the 2 of this to this, I'm only running this because, once again, it's a card that has Chthonian Alliance in its name. For more of the special summon power, I also run 3 copies of Infernal Reckless Summon. If you can special summon out your Chthonian Soldier onto the field, then you'll be able just to use your Infernal Reckless Summon, but you're also giving your opponent a chance to summon out monsters. But then you can grab your 3 soldiers onto the field, equip on your Chthonian Alliance, and then have at least a Chthonian Soldier with 2,800 attack, which is still less than the Battle Guard King that you could potentially tribute into with those monsters as well. Same with the 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren. It just thins out the deck and gives us more resources to use on the field with our different Dark Warrior monsters that we run in line also with Chthonian Soldier. And to grab some of the more important cards as well, 3 Pot of Prosperity. There's really no card in the extra deck that we need for any of our plays, so you can banish what you want and save what you want for your extra deck plays, and then just use this card to grab the specific card you may want to go and try for your Chthonian cards, which a good number of those cards also revolve around the Chthonian traps, which we haven't gotten to yet. For the rest of the spells, 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army for the warrior card search of your Chthonian Soldier. World Legacy Succession, this can even be Monster Reborn. It's just another way to, special summon back Chthonian Soldier onto the field, and then also, make use of cards like Infernal Reckless Summon right after. And then lastly, the 1 Call by the Grave, just to stop anything that our opponent may try to do against our special summons. For the traps, I run 3 copies of Chthonian Polymer. Now, this, I would say, is probably one of my most fun plays to do in the deck, just with how more prominent fusion plays are in the game in today's current meta. This is one I can see, you resolving more than any of your other setup than your other Chthonian monsters. You go and activate this card when your opponent fusion summons a monster, tribute 1 monster on your side of the field to take control of that fusion monster. So what am I more confident with in this deck, aside from the actual, multiple special summon of Chthonian Soldiers? Normal summoning out Chthonian Soldier, setting Chthonian Polymer, because my opponent not knowing that this card probably exists, they fusion summon, which, with cards like Branded, or even just a lot of the fusion plays that are out there, you activating Chthonian Polymer, tributing out your soldier, as long as they haven't destroyed it beforehand, and then being able to just take your opponent's monster. And it's a permanent gain as well, because you don't have to return it at the end of the turn, you just get to keep that fusion monster. This was the one play that I, remember prominently when Chaz used it against Jaden, so it's one I'm definitely confident of running another 3 of in the deck for you to use as well. I also run 2 copies of Chthonian Blast. You can activate this when a face-up monster on your side of the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Destroy 1 face-up monster with the lowest attack on the field, and both players take damage equal to the half of its attack. So another way just to deal burn damage along with Chthonian Soldier. I really do like the traps for the Chthonians a lot more than the actual monsters. If we do get more support ever in the future, I can see them focusing more on the actual traps as a playstyle for the deck. And then also the 3 copies of Trap Trick, just for more better ways to grab Polymer and Blast to use on the field. And lastly, the 3 copies of Call the Haunted. So with this card, along with the special summon spell power, we can just grab a Chthonian Soldier from the graveyard back onto the field. And if we have Infernal Reckless Summon, all the better to then just summon 2 more onto the field. And then I also chose this over cards like Back to the Front because you want that Chthonian Soldier in attack position for your opponent to swing into it, you take damage, and then deal it right back to your opponent. And then as for the extra deck, it's a pretty generic extra deck just to go along with the Pot of Prosperity. So the 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, the 1 Abyss Dweller, the 1 Steel Swarm Roach, Gaga Cowboy, Exciton Knight, and also the Baguska, the Excalibur, and the Zeus for the Xyz monsters. And then for the Link monsters, 1 IP Masquerena, Underclock Taker, the Dark Charmer, Nightmare Cerberus, Nightmare Unicorn, and also the Apollosa and the Axis Code Talker. And as for some of the plays in the deck, as I mentioned throughout the video, I'm most confident with the Polymer Normal Summon Chthonian Soldier play onto the field. It's just, a better resource because then you end up with a better monster on the field as well. You have the Call the Haunted Infernal Reckless Summon, Special Summon, as I mentioned before, but it's just that setup. That's really all, Chaz goes for in this deck. And I think his record in the anime kind of shows how lackluster the Chthonian monsters are, but that was my attempt at the Chthonian deck. And I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.